just, yeah, there we go. There we go, almost there. There it is, the Star Wars tie is here. Oh, God. Rogue One! Oh my good lord, guys, it is here, Rogue One. Now, you guys don't know this, but I am the biggest Star Wars fan you could ever imagine. Trust me, I read the canon, I read the comic books, I go way geek into it. This is probably my most anticipated movie of the year. No, it was my most anticipated movie of the year. What am I trying to kid myself? No, not, oh my gosh, guys, I just got out of the theater. I couldn't go on opening night because I had finals, but now that those were over, I went at 2 today, so I'm going to film this review, and I'm also going at 7 tonight with a band of Rebels. No, just some other friends of mine. We're also going to do a spoiler review after that. So, to get into the review, don't want to give anything away, but yes, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit, guys. It is very good. It is the first anthology film. It's about the band of rebels who, if you remember the opening crawl text from A New Hope, they say that band of rebels stole the Death Star plans, so they were able to figure out the weakness, little port in the Death Star to destroy it. That's what this movie's about. It's about those rebels, and it is intense. That's what I will say. And a lot of people coming out of it has said that they liked it even more than The Force Awakens. Quite a few people I've heard say that. For me, I'm going to say no to that. I don't think it's better than The Force Awakens, but it didn't have to be, okay? It didn't have to live up to that. This is the first anthology film. It's really an experiment, as Bob Iger says, of Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy. It's really an experiment. It's the first anthology film, and they succeeded. They did a fantastic job with it, and I'm so excited to see where they go. I'm so glad they're doing films like these. One thing, I'm just going to get into the positives, negatives, like a normal review. Now, one thing I want to say, though, read Star Wars Catalyst if you haven't. Because Catalyst, I read it, and it really adds so much to the movie. You get so much more by reading Star Wars Catalyst. There's so much more that you get, like kyber crystals. You understand the importance of those from that book. There's so much in that book, more about Jyn Erso, Galen Erso. Please read it. It really helped my understanding of the movie and really added to it. This movie really panders to the heavy Star Wars fans more than maybe, say, the trilogy films do. There's a lot in this movie that you will catch and you will appreciate more if you're a heavy Star Wars fan like me, into the canon and whatnot. But that's not to say that if you're not deep into that you won't find enjoyment, because I went with a friend to this movie who doesn't read canon, but he really, really enjoyed this movie, probably even more than I did, actually, coming out of the theater when we were talking about it. But he doesn't read the canon, but I do. There's a lot that you could catch from other books. So that's very cool. It's also a movie that is more geared towards adults than kids. The first Star Wars movie really geared more towards adults than, say, children. It is much darker. It really earns that PG-13 rating. I would say on a scale, if it was a continuum, from like PG to R, and PG-13's in the middle, somewhere in the middle, this movie would be closer to R than it would PG. It's very dark, but I love the tone. It's a much different Star Wars movie, different kind of Star Wars movies, much different tone. And I like that it set itself apart from the main trilogy films in such a great way. And guys, positives right away. I'm just going to go performances. The performances were good. I like Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso, but the standouts for me are Donnie Yen's character and K2SO the droid. Oh my gosh, the K2SO is a reprogrammed Imperial droid. He's hilarious, he's a badass, and he's super fun to watch. I love seeing him on screen. Donnie Yen's character is someone who's not a Jedi, but he's in tune with the Force, who lives on Jedha. And if you don't know, Jedha is a planet that was it's like an ancient planet where Jedi would live in the, like, really old Jedi temples. The kyber crystals are big from Jedha. And so it was very, very cool to see him. So he's not a Jedi, but he's tuned in with the Force. He's blind, but he kicks some major ass because he knows how to use the Force. And his pal, forget his character's name and the actor's name, but I'll put his picture here. He kind of joins with him. He's really cool. Jyn Erso, Felicity Jones does a great job, like I said. Diego Luna's character, Captain Caspian, I believe it is. I really liked his character a lot. The one thing I will say, though, there's not a lot of characterization, and I was a little disappointed and I was a little worried because there are a lot of characters in this movie, and they ran into the problem of not being able to develop all the characters all that well. I think actually the most developed characters are obviously Jin Erso, because you get her backstory and everything with her father, and K2SO and Donnie Yen's character. Jacob Luna's character was also very well developed too, but there isn't overall deep characterization. You still care about the characters, yes, but I feel like you'd be more invested in the characters if there were more characterization. Forrest Whitaker plays a character named Saw Gerrera, who you would see in other canon, Star Wars canon, such as the Clone Wars. It was really cool seeing his character there. He did a really good job. Forrest Whitaker is awesome all the time, but his voice is a little off. I think that's going to polarize some audiences, polarize some people, because his voice is a little distracting. I didn't mind it personally, but I know it's a little weird. I think the special effects were tremendous. What they did with the special effects is crazy, out of this world. Funny joke, Sean. Super, super good. Revolutionary. Wonderful special effects. Should be nominated at the Oscars for Best Special Effects. Wow, it's amazing. There's a space battle. Now, we didn't get a big space battle in The Force Awakens. We got that battle on the planet on Starkiller Base. But we haven't got a big space battle since really the original trilogy. It is Star Wars, right? And we got that. We saw Star Wars. It was war in this movie, and it was executed exceptionally. This is one of the best space battles in all of Star Wars that goes on in the third act. Oh my goodness. It is tremendous. I think that the best space battle, in episode 4, it's like the most iconic space battle. But I think the greatest space battle ever put to screen ever is in episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Their climactic space battle there about the Death Star, especially with all the stuff with going Luke and the Emperor in the Death Star, but the space battle outside that is amazing. But this one gives it a run for its money. I mean, it's could be a close second for me. I'm going to see it again so I can put it in that list. But tremendous job, really bringing out the Star Wars. It's like Gareth Edwards made like a realistic, if you can say that, realistic Star Wars movie. It's like a realistic movie in the Star Wars universe, and it separated itself really well. So gritty. I loved the tone. I loved what Gareth Edwards and Lucasfilm did with this movie, but there are a couple negatives that I will get into. But to kind of reiterate, my biggest negative with the movie was that there was this kind of lack of characterization with the main characters. A lot of badass characters, but not a whole lot of character building and characterization to them that I think would have proved really beneficial for the film. Also, Michael Giacchino's score. Now, he's a tremendous composer, one of the best working today. Wasn't all that great. A little bit underwhelming. Other than a few times, but I really felt that, again, given he was really rushed on. He had like 3 weeks or something to do it, so I think he did well for that. I wish he would have utilized the Imperial March more. You could tell John Williams was missing. It was sad, but it wasn't like terrible score. It just was a bit underwhelming for me, especially for Star Wars music being so great and so iconic. Kind of, it really goes hand in hand with the movies of how iconic the music is too. This movie didn't strike me like that. I love the Force Awakens score, and I think they should have used the Empire's theme, the Imperial March more. Speaking of the Empire, Darth Vader. Is he in this movie? Yes, but not as much as you would think. He has, I would say, maybe about 4 or 5 minutes of screen time. Now, I'm glad they didn't, they could have just banked on Darth Vader. They could have just we're going to have him in here, people are going to come see it, we're just going to have him mow down some rebels. They didn't do that. They didn't over-rely on Darth Vader, which I really appreciate. I think was a really good move, because he shouldn't be the main villain of this movie. That's Krennic. But, again, I think they could have used him a little more. Now, that's kind of a nitpick, because when he's in there, he's freaking amazing. He has some of the best scenes, couple of the best scenes in the entire movie. I will say that the final scene that Vader is in is worth all of the lack of scenes he's in. It's tremendous. But again, they could have used him a little more. They could have put him a little more. I'm trying to kind of think where they could have. It might have been, I think they did it well, but I just would have liked to see a little bit more from Darth freaking Vader, right? The film really kind of slows up in Act 2. Acts 1 and 3 were really, really good. I loved them. Act 2 was a little bit slow. I wouldn't say boring. It had good, it was kind of developing the plot along. Got to see more of the rebellion, which is really fun. But it was a little bit slower, and that was a little bit, kind of took me out of it a hair. Not super terrible, but obviously noticeable. And there is no opening crawl to this movie. Sorry, guys, I don't think it's a spoiler. They released that. They said they wouldn't. Now, I think that might have been a mistake. I get that they're trying to set this anthology film apart from the original trilogy. And I was actually someone who, when they announced that, was one of the few people who said, well, that's not too bad. I don't disagree with that. I don't think it was a terrible thing to leave it out, but it was missing. It was kind of sad to see it going. But when they open up, so it's kind of jolting when you see it in a galaxy far, far away. Then it just opens up to the movie. It's a little odd. Little odd there. Also, after that kind of opening scene and Rogue One pops up, the Rogue One logo looks awful. Like, seriously, like, I literally, for my thumbnail, I downloaded Star Wars fonts for my thumbnail. I could have done what they did better. It looked bad. Not a huge issue. I mean, it's not like the movie. It doesn't make the movie bad, but I was like, it just stuck in my mind. I have it in my etched in my mind, or it looked terrible. One thing I want to say is that this movie, the biggest thing walking out of this movie, biggest positive walking out of this movie for me, was that I walked out and the world is building. I love to see the Star Wars universe expanding and growing and becoming more grand and adding more to it instead of shrinking the universe. And it's wonderful to see that building coming out of this, and it leads so well into episode 4. I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end. We'll save that for the spoilers review. But it leads so well in episode 4. And this film, how it's made and all the things that they add to the original trilogy is so wonderful. I loved what they did there. It blends so well into the Star Wars universe. Yes, it stands on its own, but also fits in so well at the same time. Very tough to do, Gareth Edwards, Lucasfilm. Great job. Also, you know that kind of tidbit, that negative that some people say about A New Hope, like, so they built this big Death Star, this big planet exploder thing, machine. That's the technical word for the Death Star. And they leave this exhaust port that you can fire torpedoes in or cannons and it'll explode. They fix that argument, that nitpick. I'm not going to tell you how, but that's kind of a major argument for episode 4 that some people have had in the past, and they fixed that, which was freaking awesome. A lot of scenes that were in the trailers are not in the actual movie. They saved a lot. You're surprised all the time throughout this movie. Fantastic. There's a lot of characters that you weren't expecting to see that you do see. And actually, one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars, who I wasn't expecting to see much, maybe a cameo, is in here a lot more than I thought I would. We'll get into more of that for spoiler review. But guys, overall, this movie did exactly what it set out to do. It's going to make a ton of money. It's a really awesome start to the anthology films. Rogue One is hella fun. It is so fun in the theaters. Guys, go to it multiple times. I went to The Force Awakens 7 times in theaters. I don't think Rogue One has the rewatchable factor like The Force Awakens did. I'll probably see it 3 or 4 times for sure. Especially my buddy Ryan. We're going to have a video out over Christmas break about Star Wars, so we're going to be binging them and going to Rogue One a couple times, I'm sure. But guys, overall, I really enjoyed the crap out of this movie, guys. I enjoyed it a lot. I was so happy. I'm going to give Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, an 8.2 out of 10.
Make 10 men feel like 100.
We'll take the next chance. And the next. You're all rebels, aren't you?
Save the rebellion! Save the dream!
Definitely go out and see this movie, guys. It's definitely worth it for sure. If you're a huge Star Wars fan like me, go see it. If you're not a huge Star Wars fan like me, go see it anyway. It's a good movie. It's fun. Please go out and watch it. Thanks so much for tuning into this review. Guys, we're going to have a spoiler review out later. We're going to film it later tonight after the 7 o'clock showing. Thanks so much. You can leave a comment below. Give it a like, give this video a like, and make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter for more movie reviews, trailer reaction reviews, top 5s, other things. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next time. P.S. It's a pretty great tie, isn't it?